Okay, now that your homepage is set up, let's talk about how to post an assignment and then how to grade an assignment. You'll always see this blue navigation panel in Canvas. You'll only see this white panel when you are in a class. So for example, here I am on my Canvas dashboard. I have the blue panel, but the white panel is gone. But the moment I go into a class, this white panel appears. And so we were talking about posting assignments. I'm going to go down to the assignments section in my white navigation panel. But let's say that I wanted to assign something in my quizzes category right here. All that you do is you go over to the right side of the screen where you'll see this little gray plus mark, and you click that plus mark like you want to add an assignment. And all you do is you write the assignment name, example quiz. You write a due date, and this is important. It's absolutely mandatory and required that you put a due date for every single assignment. If you choose the wrong due date, that's okay. You can always change that later. It's really, really easy to do. But if you don't choose a due date, the consequence number one is that that assignment probably won't be graded properly at the end of the year. So only assignments that have a proper due date within the range of the class wind up factoring into the grade of the class. So keep that in mind. Second, the second consequence is that students and parents might be really, really confused about if something is due and when it's due or whether it was due. So due dates are super, super important. Please make sure that you assign a due date. Just click this little calendar button. And let's say I want this to be due tomorrow on July 16th. I will just click that it's due July 16th. This year, Canvas is set by default to automatically assign the time of 8 a.m. to all assignments. That makes it really, really easy. If I want something to be due on Tuesday, to just click the 19th and hit done, and Canvas will automatically assume that it's due at the beginning of the day. In other words, before that school day begins, the student is expected to have completed that work. If I'm doing classwork, and let's say that today on July 15th, that's this day right here. Let's assume that today I forgot about some class work, or I'm just posting some classwork that needs to be done by the end of the class. Then I'll just manually change that time to the end of the class or the end of the day. A lot of times I would just enter 3 p.m. Because it was easy for me to remember for everything. Before you go home, make sure that this assignment is in my hands. But you could also be really, really precise. Like if your class ends at 10:50 a.m., you could type that in that you want this in by 10:50. And it is really important that you maintain accurate. It is really important that you maintain accurate due dates this year because at an administrative level, Canvas is going to be set to penalize students who turn in work after a deadline. So make sure that if your class is happening at 10 in the morning, you don't assign something during class that was due at 8 a.m. that morning, because then every single student in your class is going to take a late penalty, even though it's not actually late. So just be careful with your deadlines this year. So we have, our assignment name and the absolutely essential due date, and then you just put the number of points. You can always change this later. A lot of teachers default all assignments to 100 points, but that is a personal preference. And then I would just go ahead and hit more options. What you did on that first screen set up your due date and your point values and your title. On this screen, there are usually two more tasks that are absolutely essential to properly posting a Canvas assignment. The first of them is to put something in this box, and the second of them is to make sure that you've changed the submission type to the one that's most appropriate. Usually for me, it's online. I do file uploads, and I usually Turnitin.com. So again, those two things are put something in this box and change the submission type. And then once you've done all those things, you can hit save and publish. As to what I'm going to put in this box, at a bare minimum, absolutely essential, I need to put a description of the assignment and some instructions. So let's say that all of my students work from a textbook. I might say something like, read pages 100 through 110 of your textbook and answer questions through 14, period. This is a very, very minimal text description, but it gets the job done. From the point of view of, let's say you had a student who missed class and they desperately wanted to stay on track with the rest of the class. They really, really need to know what work was done, kind of specifically. If you were to just write, do the reading we talked about in class today and answer questions, that doesn't help that student at all. They don't know what reading you talked about in class today. The other thing that's sort of essential about making your assignment descriptions at least this detailed is, while we like to think that all of our students are growing and mature and proactive and they take care of themselves, some of them still need a little bit of parental or guardian guidance and encouragement. So this being this specific also helps parents and guardians to understand exactly what their students' homework is. If this section is left blank, as some teachers have done in the past, it can be really, really frustrating for students and parents alike. There are even examples of teachers who posted assignments with nothing in this box, and they got a little behind in their grading, and only to come back to this assignment, 3 or 4 weeks later, and they couldn't even remember which assignment this was that they were meant to be grading, and it made it very, very difficult for them to keep their grade books in order. So please, 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 please make sure that you put good, adequate instructions and assignment description in this box right here. Finally, down in this box right here, where it says, a submission type, no submission, online, on paper, an external tool. External tools are if you have a third-party app that we've integrated into Canvas. I know that a lot of the math classes have math programs that tie to Canvas. In English, we have a grammar program that's made by a third party that automatically grades itself. I would say the most common online submission, though, is I just want the students to submit a Google document or something like that. So you could have them just type their answers in, but most of the time I have just file uploads checked in enableturnitin.com. File uploads allows them to attach their Google Doc to the assignment like they're attaching something to an email, and Turnitin.com scans it for plagiarism and things of that nature. And so, having written something up here and changed my submission type, I'm ready to hit save and publish, and that assignment will go live. Now, there's lots of things that you could do. You could make this assignment only appear at one time and disappear at another time, but you should know that you don't have to do anything with this. A lot of teachers feel frustrated because they feel like they have to fill out these two boxes every single time. You definitely don't have to do that. You could destroy this little tag that says assign this to everyone. If you have just one group of students in your class, like honor students, and you want to assign this only to your honor students, you could take off everyone and just select certain students that you want to assign this to. I just want to assign this to Melanie and Sharon, for example. You could do that. Maybe Melanie and Sharon were bad, and this is just my way of punishing them. I'm only giving them homework. That's cool. You could also set up groups. The primary advantage of doing an assignment as a group is that when you go to grade it, your grade goes to all those students at once. It saves a little bit of time and work on your part when you can assign the same grade to multiple students. And the other really nice thing about group assignments is if you leave them feedback and you give them a comment, that comment and that feedback gets copied to all the students as well. And that's pretty cool too. You can restrict the number of attempts. I usually leave mine as unlimited, as a lot of students in my class realize after they turn it in that there's something that they want to refine or improve, and they can turn it back in. It never counts these attempts as being late unless they submit them after the deadline. But even if they submit it after the deadline and it's a revision and it's not something late, you can manually adjust the late penalty if you need to. And I think that's everything about this page that you need to know. Hit save and publish, and then you're done. And that's about it for creating a basic assignment. Make sure that you hit save and publish, and then your assignment will be visible from that assignments page. Here it is, this example quiz that we just created. You can also move an assignment from one category to another. An easy way is to just click this grid of dots on the side and drag it down to where you want it to be. Here's an example of a bad assignment. Do the reading we talked about in class today, then answer all 4 questions. Doesn't help someone who was not in class today and has no idea what you're talking about. The other reason that this is a bad assignment and disastrous is because this teacher never gave it a due date, and so it's not going to factor into the grade book, and the student has no clue when it is due. So this assignment does everything that you have to do. Let's talk about what your assignments can do. So you can add a rubric right here. I don't add a rubric to every single assignment that I give, but I do like to add a rubric if it's going to be worth at least a quiz grade or a test grade, if it's a major project that they're working on for a long time. If the assignment is very elaborate and they're putting in a lot of work to it, I at least like to give them a roadmap to how they're going to be graded. Other things you can do in this assignment page, or you could create links. So let's say that we have a digital textbook that I want to make it real easy for them to get to. I would just highlight this text and hit the little link button and put a link to the textbook right here and hit done. Let's say that I want to make the students laugh and I just feel like inserting a meme or something like that. Or maybe it's actually curricular. Maybe I'm teaching geography and I want to show them a map or something like that. You can click this images button right here to upload an image of your own. You can upload an image from your computer, or you can click Unsplash, and that just gives you access to this sort of public domain image server. So if I wanted to get a map of America, and I'll just get a bunch of things like this, and I think this one looks kind of pretty, so I'm just going to grab this one right here and hit submit, and then boom, I now have a map of America embedded in my assignment as well. In addition to that, so if I click on my little plugin videos right here, I can go to, if I hit view all, I could embed a slideshow. So this is often how I give my students copies of my lecture notes, is that I'll embed a copy of my slideshow with Google Apps. Just got to find the right folder. Here's a slideshow. I could select that and embed it. Also from the plugins button, I could also embed a YouTube video. So I would just paste a link to the YouTube video that I was looking for, but let's stick with our geography theme. Let's say that I wanted them to know tour of US. Maybe I find an interesting video that I want to show them. I could hit that embed button right there, and then boom, underneath my map of the United States, I have this little tour of the United States video right there. And so you can see that in addition to just giving them simple text instructions and a rubric, you can also make this a really enriching experience. Again, nobody expects that you do this for every single assignment, but sometimes I find that it's really, really nice way to offer enrichment or to kind of make your assignments more engaging and impactful. I also think that it has an effect on the students when they see that you put a lot of effort on your side. I tend to think that that causes to inspire more effort on their side too. Now that you know how to create a master assignment, let's talk a little bit about how to grade that assignment. A fairly straightforward way to grade your assignments is just to click on Grades, which will take you into your grade book. And from this grade book, you can very easily just find a name on the left side, an assignment on the right side, click in the appropriate box, and type a number in. If you know the grades because you did it on paper or from a third-party resource and you just need to fill in your grade book, then this is a fairly easy way. You just type in the numbers right here. But let's say that your assignment was done electronically, like most of my assignments are. You're probably going to need to look at that electronic document before you know what number you're going to type in. And to do that, you're going to need to go into something called SpeedGrader. Now, from this interface right here, an easy way to get to SpeedGrader is just to go up to the text description of the document up here, and you'll notice that whenever my mouse hovers over the name of the assignment, these 3 little dots appear on the right side. See, this one doesn't have 3 dots right here, but when I hover over the name, there's 3 dots appear. click those three dots and just hit SpeedGrader, and that brings you into the electronic document that you need to grade. This particular assignment was a quiz that was set up to grade itself, and so this one automatically filled in the grades for me right here. But let me go to another example that might have some text that I would need to read and then assign my grade and give my feedback from the SpeedGrader screen. A good example would be this essay topic right here. So I'm going to go into my midterm essay and go into SpeedGrader. All right. So on the left over here, we have a student essay. And then on the right over here, there's a spot for me to enter a grade. And because I created a rubric for this assignment, there's a spot for me to sort of fill in why they achieved the grade that they did. You don't have to worry about rubrics right now, although in the next part of this training, I go into a lot of detail about how to create and use a rubric to grade. But maybe you're just going to eyeball the score and you read this essay, and based off of the content of the essay, you decide that it gets a 37. Just go in this box, type 37, and the moment you click out of that box, a little check mark will appear that this grade has been logged and saved. It's pretty easy to get from one student to another. You just click the names up here. You can scroll down to the name of the student that you'd like to grade, click that name, and it will take you to that student's essay and spot for you to include your numerical grade. In addition to leaving a numerical grade up here, I just gave Sharon a 37, there's also a little box down here where you can leave that student a comment. Now, both the student as well as their parent will be able to see why they've received a 37 out of 100. So SpeedGrader is an incredibly useful way to quickly go from one student to another, enter a grade, leave feedback if you like, and finish grading your assignments. An alternate way to get to a SpeedGrader is to go to the assignments page. So this is the page where you created the assignments in the first place. If I want to leave feedback on example quiz, all I do is I click into the quiz, and from the screen that contains the instructions and all the other material and information about the assignment, usually there's a little link to SpeedGrader on the right-hand side, or if your screen resolution is too small, it sticks this link to SpeedGrader down at the bottom down here. But one way or another, from the actual assignment screen, it's pretty easy to get into SpeedGrader and leave the grade and feedback that way. Finally, and I promise this last part is as quick as it is awesome, I mentioned that there is more than one way to post an assignment on Canvas. So instead of going to the Assignments tab, from my Canvas dashboard in this blue navigation panel, if I click on my calendar, this is going to give me an overview of any classes that I'm assigned to teach at any given time. So right now I have a couple of different calendars listed on the side. I'm in a class called Digital Bootcamp and in a class called Faculty Training, etc. Personally, my favorite way to post assignments is from this calendar page because I like to use this as an opportunity to sort of plan out my week. So let's say that I know that I'm giving the kids an important quiz on Friday. I can just click the calendar on Friday the 22nd and say, change event to assignment and say, okay, in my digital bootcamp class, I'm giving a major test. Publish it from right here. I click the more options button and I can do all the same things that I could do from my assignments page right here. But in addition to posting assignments for that one class, I could also post assignments for any class that I'm assigned to. So in other words, from one page, I could organize my entire week, and even if I don't know every single class assignment I'm going to give every day, I could still tell every class that they have a quiz on Friday, that they have a major project due on Wednesday, and I can at least begin to map out my week just by clicking on the calendar and filling out the information that they need to know. The other thing I can quickly do for my calendar is I can change due dates. So if we were originally going to have a quiz on Friday and I realize, oops, there's no way that we're going to cover that material by Friday, I can click and drag that quiz from Friday the 15th to Wednesday the 20th fairly painlessly. So don't be afraid to use your calendar page to get organized at the beginning of the week or to reorganize throughout the middle of the week. And that about wraps it up for this quick tutorial on how to post assignments and how to grade those assignments. All right. Good luck. And as always, if you have any questions, just email me and let me know.